It's elementary, dear Data.
They say resist is futile. That individual is out of style. It's a simulation, not a but I know less about them all than I did before.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2, Episode 3, Elementary, Dear Data, is over. And it has been since December of 1988. But we're just getting started here in this February of 2025 as we continue our mission to watch every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation and talk about it here on Live Long and Podcast, a live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you might be listening to us in audio version. We're going to be talking all about this episode for the next hour and breaking it all down. We got a great panel. We got maybe, the Watson himself. It's Davan Skelhorn.
I'll be your Watson tonight. Cogito ergo sum.
Yeah.
Come, Watson.
Indeed. Coming in next, the man who will put it in your pipe and smoke it, it's Justin Velociraptor.
Elementary, my dear Captain.
Of course, yet of course. And here's the guy who, didn't expect to get abducted on his first time on the holodeck, but here we are. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey, yes. I was just thinking when you said 1988, man, like I was like in grade 11. It's a long time ago.
I was 4.
I was in kindergarten.
Also 4.
Yeah, I was 5. So I was slightly ahead of the other two here, but yes. This episode, okay, just to break this quickly down, in this episode, the holographic adversary is created on the holodeck of the Enterprise when Data and Geordi take some time off to play a Sherlock Holmes game. The plot line from this episode was continued later in the 6th season episode Ship in a Bottle, which we'll probably cover in a couple years. But, until then, this is the part 1 of that. And, I hadn't watched this in a while, but it was a lot of fun, I thought. How's everyone else feeling at this time?
Yeah, love this episode. One of my favorites. I say that about every Data episode, as Davan will point out.
Every episode. Davan, I know you're up and down with these first 2 seasons of Next Gen, but where's this one for you?
Not high, but it's pretty high up there as far as holodeck episodes go, because I find them usually pretty low stakes and kind of silly, and I'd rather be watching, space politics or whatever. But this one's pretty good, and there is stakes, and there's actually some interesting ideas with the consciousness of Moriarty and stuff like that. So, I'm talking myself into a higher rating. It's a good episode. It's a good episode.
Yeah, well, not the original holodeck episode, Adam. We kind of covered that last season with The Big Goodbye, but this is sort of an update on that concept in season 2, and perhaps the first one with a super intelligent adversary, because we didn't quite get that in season 1.
So I started watching this last night just before we got on our Orville podcast, and I told you guys that I forgot how much I liked this episode. And for me, just finished it earlier this evening. Daniel Davis, who plays Moriarty, steals the show. He is so good.
Yes.
Did you guys grow up thinking he was British as well? But it was because between this and Niles on The Nanny, I thought he was British, but he's Texan.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot that he was on Hunt for Red October as well. He
did
played,
that too.
an officer on the U.S.S. Enterprise, actually, in Hunt for Red October.
Oh, right. I don't care for the uniform. I remember that line.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a good actor.
You know, and the other thing I liked about this is that I'm looking forward to the extensions of this now.
I found out a neat spot about that. Apparently, I'll go into it more later on, but this was a big kerfuffle with the family of the Arthur Conan Doyle's estate,
Yes.
and Paramount. The reason why we had to wait 4 seasons to get Ship in a Bottle. But I'll talk about that during our.
Wasn't Sherlock Holmes public domain by then, or?
No, it was coming
I
off.
thought
That
so
was the
too,
problem.
but it wasn't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Paramount played it fast and loose.
I think this one is pretty. You know, my only real critique of this is I feel like it's they try to pack too much in this one episode. I feel like you could even build this out into a 2-parter and make a better story potentially, where Moriarty's like more controlling the Enterprise and there's more of this thing. It has to wrap up so fast. It feels like in the last act, but you know, but it would just be like a longer version of the same thing, you know. And
TNG will do that though. They'll be like, and now send in Picard to wrap it up in 5 minutes. Like
Right.
he'll come in with a speech and be like, "Look,
Yeah.
hologram,
right,
don't
you
you
know, we
see? I can't help you." And they're like,
Yeah, but you know, when they get to Ship in the Bottle, like you know, you can see how he started off reasonable, and then, you know, you kept me in this place for 4 years without talking to me like this. But that's.
"Well, do you
for-
guys think? Do you guys think Picard was genuine? Like, I don't
No.
think he was. I don't think he was
No.
ever gonna consider going back to help. Well, he didn't care. Like,
Well, this is
And
my
to actual.
like. I really want to. I almost think, Dave, we should do that next time, just to just you know close this storyline down. But anyway, I know that's not how it's done.
well,
They,
yeah.
the way that the episode was originally written, the ending it proved that Picard was completely disingenuous in what he had said. It's interesting. It's
Can you blame him though, guys? Like, I mean, like this doesn't make any sense. Like, he's no timing for this.
no, and there
well,
are
not in
plot
that day,
holes.
maybe, but like,
There are plot holes that you could drive a Stardock through in this. Like, why didn't they just beam Pulaski off the? My
Right.
dad turned to me as we were watching this afternoon. My dad turned to me and went, "You watch and review all these episodes. Why didn't they just beam her off the holodeck?" And I was like, "You be quiet, old man."
also in an episode we already say was too cram packed, that would immediately be followed by the line, "Oh, he's locked out transporter controls, sir." Like, so it's just like just cut both lines and move on.
Yeah, like that.
Ignore
like,
it.
That did
Yeah.
occur to me while they were like having the conference room scene. I was like, because the computer knows where Pulaski is and her vital signs are good, so it seems like getting a transport lock on her would be very easy.
She's just enjoying some fine tea, like myself.
Yeah, she got like a lot of crumpets, and you know, and like that scene where
So many
like
crumpets.
Picard comes in and she's just like relaxing and chilling,
It's like
and,
lounging, Dave.
Yeah.
Lounging on that little.
yeah, and she has to
settee.
like put herself together.
You'd have to know what a crumpet is to play cricket.
Yeah, like there's you're right. That's a Raphael reference, but
Wrong franchise, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, like man, but I enjoyed the episode so much. The cast is
a
so
lot of
fun. They're having fun with it. This guest star is great. You know, I think this dynamic between Pulaski and Data is, you know, not as much as I don't like the way she treats him. It's, you know, it's kind of an arc and it makes sense. And this is just another installment, right? You know, where
Well, this episode makes her completely hypocritical because she's so quick and willing to accept Moriarty's sentience.
Well, I
And he's a
always
hologram.
thought how she goads Data. Well, he's a hologram, and he knows he's a hologram, so I think she doesn't take umbrage with that. I think the fact that she can't get past that Data's an artificial life form who thinks he's a real boy. I think it's the Pinocchio factor for her. But I love how she
Wants to be a
goads
real
him.
boy.
She
Doesn't think
goads
he's-
him into allowing Geordi to create Moriarty by pretty much calling him a coward.
a
in this.
fraud, she says.
Yes.
I believe, you know.
A
Fraud.
yeah.
You didn't deduce anything.
Adam, as always, Pulaski really good.
I enjoy Pulaski.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? it maybe would have been better if she came in season 3 for a season. I'm not, because we haven't got to know Dr. Crusher very much at this point.
No.
Other than she's gentler and kinder and probably has a better bedside manner.
She's got the hots for Picard.
Or any bedside manner.
But I do. She's rougher. Like she came in and was more McCoyish, early in Next Gen, and where we're still getting used to this cast. So I liked her. I still like her.
Yeah, me too. And more than I did when I was a kid. But yeah. Like there's a couple great moments in this episode, and we're gonna call them out. Let's run through the episode plot via screenshots if you're watching here on the video version. And we start off this episode with Data walking down the corridor towards engineering. It's urgent. He's been called by Geordi. There's this young assistant engineer who's says, "Oh, Geordi's over there," but she gives him kind of a weird, like, I don't know, just tone when she says he's over there waiting for you. And Data's like, "What's with your assistant?" And he's like, "Well, I gotta show you," because they're apparently the Enterprise is en route to rendezvous with the U.S.S. Victory, it looks like a Constellation class ship. I think we see at the end, similar to the Stargazer. And but this is the HMS Victory. I don't know, from some other century. I don't know.
Gorgeous, ain't it?
1765, I believe.
Okay, so pre-American Revolution.
Wasn't that one of Nelson's ships, the Victory?
Yes, it was his ship.
Yeah, it was Nelson's ship.
It's the oldest still commissioned ship in the world, and it's in dry dock in Portsmouth as a museum ship now.
Yeah. Oh. And if you ever get there, it's completely worth seeing. I actually have a tattoo of
nice. Of the Victory?
Yeah.
Does it look just like that one?
Oh, it's so good. It's so cool to see.
Now, does anyone else feel
I
like
meant your tattoo?
Oh, yeah,
sort of
like that. Just like that.
This was sort of a nod to, not even a nod, but I mean, Generations was kind of a nod to this scene, how they're on the ship.
Yeah. It was
I didn't
a simpler
think about that
time,
until I
number
rewatched
one.
it.
Brutal discipline, no women.
He even makes a simpler time speech at the end of the episode with Geordi, says the same thing.
Right, he does actually,
Well, soon she'll be shipshape in Bristol fashion. It's an old Navy phrase, meaning everything in perfect order.
What's a stunsel ship?
Yeah. So.
What I found, I like this scene. First of all, I like that other engineer. She was on a bunch of stuff in the early 90s. Mad About You, she played Helen Hunt's sister. But she was just, she was in League of Their Own for a while. Anyway, I like her. But I always felt kind of sad that Geordi's got his hobby in engineering. He's got to bring it there.
Anne Ramsey she was on Mad About You a bunch. Apparently.
Yeah. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you know her name?
No.
Oh, you didn't say it. So it's but like there's this whole thing. So Geordi knows the captain of the ship from his a previous assignment when he was an ensign. So this is like going to be a gift. And Data says, "Why would you, build this thing by hand? You could just replicate it or whatever. Or is this not a computer simulation?" And Geordi has to explain to him that creating this by hand is part of the exercise of it all.
Plot hole though. How did Geordi build this whole thing and not know what a stunsel was?
I guess he forgot.
Yes.
And then, so Geordi gives Data a gift because they're apparently they're ahead of schedule. They're not gonna meet up with the Victory, the U.S.S. Victory, for a few days. So Geordi gives Data a pipe as a gift, and we saw him smoking this in season 1 as he was trying to unravel a mystery there. And this will allow Geordi's like, we can go to the holodeck and have some fun. So this is
urgent that he comes. It was an urgent call.
This was an urgent call to the third in command of the ship that he needs to come down here so they can go play on the holodeck. But their friendship was already developing up until this point. But this is, I think, to Sam's point, like the early days of that really being solidified. So they're off to the holodeck. You can find them at whatever address Sherlock Holmes lives at, Sussex Street or something. Baker Street. Sorry.
221B Baker Street.
212 Baker Street. And so and sometimes Brent Spiner does this half British accent, as sometimes does LeVar Burton throughout this. And yeah, so that is our teaser for the episode as we go into elementary Dear Data. Data and Geordi dressed in full period costume heading to the holodeck for our title card on the episode. And then we get the set here. As there's a couple things reestablished, how the holodeck, entrance disappears and the arch disappears when they come into the environment. Just to kind of remind, this is one of the earliest holodeck episodes, so they kind of do have to reset a few things about what a holodeck is and everything else. That's right, the arch. And so Data, who has, of course, memorized every Sherlock Holmes publication, knows every little detail of the set, all the books.
Which by that year would be like hundreds of thousands more than there already is, and there's already probably hundreds of thousands.
Oh, you mean not just the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle ones, but
yeah, he's reading everything Sherlock Holmes. Like, that's an insane amount of literature.
There would be so many canonical because it is entering the public domain, or it did in 2013. I think it got struck down. So yeah, there's so many Sherlock Holmes stories that are now.
I got one right here, Lady Sherlock.
There you go. I think I
Circle of the
behind me on
Smiling
a shelf.
Dead.
I've got.
It only happened in 2013.
It wasn't supposed to until 2023.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Sherlock Holmes is from was written in the Victorian age.
Yeah, but you
Keep
can
renewing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wrong.
The family probably kept it for quite a long time.
If you notice, when they call the arch there, when the arch fades away, in the upper corner, you can see the letters VR right there, right on the left, beside the curtains. That's from the Sherlock Holmes story where Sherlock fired that with his pistol into the wall, and it's the Latin for Queen Victoria.
Okay, wow.
Victoria Regina.
Apparently, this episode won some Emmy Awards for outstanding art direction and set decoration, as well as costuming. So yeah, a lot of attention to detail here. Absolutely. I've never noticed that VR thing until you just pointed it out right now, Justin. So good on you. So yeah, Data finds a violin as Sherlock Holmes. He starts playing it, and then Data also tells Geordi, as Watson, your job is to write everything I say down. So Geordi starts writing down, kind of narrating everything here for Geordi. You're muted, Adam. If you're
yeah, I was just gonna say that would have been the most boring job ever. Write everything I say down.
You're like a secretary, basically, right?
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes was written in 1887. Yeah, I think it's been around long enough that you can put it into the public domain. But hey, what do I know? So Data is playing the violin. Now, I don't know if Brent Spiner actually plays the violin in real life, but he went on to play a lot of different string instruments throughout the show.
I think this is a good example of an early season mischaracterization for Data, because he plays with so much feeling in this scene as Sherlock. And later on, the biggest criticism of his playing is that it's far too technical and doesn't have that feeling to it.
Season 1 and 2 Data is more like almost more Pinocchio than Data at times.
He hits in season, I think, in mid-season 2, and I think this episode is a really great lead-in to my favorite season 2 episode, which obviously is another Data episode, Measure of a Man. In the way they treat Moriarty. Mm-hmm.
That's more of a Picard episode than a Data episode.
But I think the way that Data approaches the character, Brent Spiner more specifically approaches the character after that Measure of a Man, because I think there's kind of an aha moment after that episode, for the Data character and for a lot
there's more drama there.
Yeah, there's more to.
That
he's
kicks.
Android things, he's like, how cute this computer man is learning things. But then when you really tackle with the ideas of how you treat artificial intelligence and life and everything else, I think that and how you will be judged as the human race for such things, I think is, one of the big aha moments, where, but that hasn't happened yet quite, it's coming, but they haven't quite got there yet, so.
Prove to me I'm sentient.
Prove to me, So then, yeah, there's this whole thing here in the holodecks in the early scene where these guys show up and they're like, they want Data's help or Sherlock Holmes' help solving the mystery, and Data's playing the part, basically reciting this almost like he's reading like an audio play, right? Kind of going through the motions. A few times Geordi goes, "Did Sherlock Holmes really talk like that?" "Oh, he did," Data says, and Data, kind of nerding out about it all. But basically, and there's one part here where Geordi comments about they haven't invented an electric lamp yet, or the electric light bulb. But anyway, Data solves this mystery very quickly because, of course, he knows the answer to the story. He's read every single Sherlock Holmes thing, and he's like, "Well, it's this guy who's the criminal." And then basically Geordi,
he's read Lady Sherlock, Circle of the Smiling Dead.
Yes. So, yeah.
Yet again serve queen and country.
Merely throwing himself into the part. But Geordi doesn't like this.
I'm done.
He throws a little bit of a tantrum and he walks out on the holodeck.
See, but that should have happened.
Look, I got a few things to say to your queen, Data.
Should have happened a few minutes ago when he told him to write everything down.
Yeah.
I would have been done. I'm done.
You can create a holographic stenographer for this.
Yes.
The fella on the right, the one who had his jacket torn open, who was actually not working for the Bohemians but against the Bohemians, that's actually that actor isn't credited in the credits, and it's theorized that that's actually a woman in man's makeup, because in the story that they're referencing, that's Irene Adler, who is one of Sherlock's eventual love interests. That's from the Bohemian. Which one was that? That was.
I think you're right.
I can't remember the name of which story that's from. Off the top of my head.
All kinds of little tidbits coming out here, Justin. It's all things that I never knew. So very cool. Anyway, so the Data's like, where do you go, Geordi? I was going to solve all the mysteries. They then go to 10 forward, where Geordi's like, "It's not fun. I wanted to solve the mystery." And
he's a little worked up about this, don't you think?
A little bit. Yeah, he's being a little bit of a baby, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to the mystery.
I don't think so. These guys work hard. They need some time off. You should be enjoying it.
But he was there for Data.
Oh, come on.
Like, what did he? Well, I guess I get that it wasn't what he expected, but is it that surprising that Data would do this? Like, and he goes, "I'm not really mad at you, Data. I'm just kind of, I thought we would have more of a fun." But then Pulaski, who's, I guess, reading her pad or drinking her tea nearby, she goes, "You're wasting your time, Lieutenant LaForge. There's no way that Data could ever solve an original mystery. He might be a brilliant computer, but he can't do anything, that original." And this is coming back to Sam, where I don't like this Pulaski.
Pulaski.
Where she says, there's no point, and Geordi kind of sticks up for him and says that Data. What if he could? What if he was presented with something original, something he wouldn't know the answer to? And Pulaski's still skeptical, but Data is up for the challenge. They're going to come up with a new program or new parameters that will get this thing going.
Come, Watson.
And you are invited, Doctor. The good doctor. We will head to the holodeck together. So that's the next transition, where they go back to the holodeck, and we get the reveal here of Pulaski in her full garb, looking great. Of course, we're missing Heather tonight. She was supposed to be on the panel, but something came up with her. So but we'll catch up with her next week to hear her thoughts on this. She is our fashion correspondent. I thought she looked great in the outfit.
She probably has that hat.
She probably does. The hat alone sells it for me.
I like the color. It's a nice costume.
It's a nice ensemble.
My grandmother used to have those hats. Those are weird. They're just like a flat board with all these things on the top.
Pin. Yeah.
I think they're fascinators. I think they're called. Anyway, so they're heading into the holodeck, of course, and Pulaski has never been on a sophisticated holodeck. I'm still unclear about when holodecks were invented and when they, and do only Galaxy class starships have them or what, but
I've removed all the weird references they make like that in the early seasons from my head canon. Like they poke a few holes in certain technologies that don't make a lot of sense. So I just
I'm always
those
fascinated that there's they're never they're always available. If you're on a ship this big, people would want to be in them all the time.
Especially on
you have to
DS9
book
when
your time.
quirks are always
Sure, I would love to live in
So
in
full.
this world, Although the holodeck might try to kill me every other week, so it's
Or you get addicted like Reg.
yeah.
Oh, I'd definitely take my sleepy time pills and forget that I turned off the safety protocols, and that would be bye-bye, Lieutenant Velociraptor.
Yeah, that's right.
Trampled by a horse on the holodeck.
I don't know. I don't know if they went to some kind of an existing set or if they built this just for the episode, but it does look really good.
This is, I think, one of the better, because of how dirty they made it look and everything. I think for the 80s, this was like the perfect outdoor set, like Victorian London, because it had been done so many times by the 80s. They just had that down pat.
Right.
And this is just fantastic.
Even like these bit actors, these holodeck characters, like, hey, stole my, or whatever.
Look at the circles around his eyes. He looks like me before I pat my eyes in the morning.
Well, how many Star Treks, especially back in the TOS area and even into TNG, do you think were written just because there were certain costumes they could get access to? Like, it's just
especially original series.
Or sets.
Original series all the time.
Oh yeah,
for
or
sure.
sets. Yeah.
Oh, we went to the Roman planet this week because we happen to have a bunch of Roman stuff.
It's
Just
available.
build a gangster
We'll do
movie.
it.
Can we have gangsters in Star Trek? Sure, shit, we can.
Why not? We'll go to the gangster planet,
Oh, and guess what? There's a lot of Western available too.
CBS canceled this show last week. We got all their costumes in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, they do have multiple holodecks there, Norman.
They do.
Like, it's great being a few stages down from Quantum Leap. Gets us all kinds of good stuff.
Once they get on the holodeck, basically, even though it's supposed to be a new parameter with the story, the computer basically all it does is kind of mash up like different Sherlock Holmes stories to create this sort of this kind of original in a sense, but not really. It's kind of a regurgitation of a few different stories. Data's like, well, it's Sherlock. It's Sherlock. He's like, it's this person, and this is this thing, and he pulls on the string, and the snake comes out, and this is where, like Pulaski says, you're a fraud.
Fraud. You didn't deduce anything.
But Data makes this argument that I am using reason. In fact, reasoning is working out from the general to the specific.
Reasoning from the general to the specific. Is that not the very definition of deduction?
But she says,
Your circuits would just short out if you were confronted with a truly original mystery.
they would just short out everybody. Short circuit. Watch out. So we see that the Moriarty character is present. I think before this parameter has been put in place. So I guess he was going to be part of the story, or maybe he's just an extra in the set. But they call for the Arch, which this is before Moriarty's made sentient, right, or conscious. So, but he's able to retain these memories regardless. And this is, Geordi asks very specifically, give me an opponent, a story that capable of defeating Data. This is at that moment when he realizes, we'll come later, when he realizes how much this will mess thing up. But
because he's meant to be an inquisitive character anyway, right? So he's just being inquisitive.
Exactly.
Computer, in the Holmesian style, create a mystery to confound Data with an opponent who has the ability to defeat him. Create an adversary capable of defeating Data.
You know what he should have just added there? The word possibly.
They could possibly defeat Data. Up on the bridge of the
possibly
Enterprise, Worf sees a little power surge come by on his console, and Riker says, "What was that about, Mr. Worf?" And he goes, "I don't know. Minor power drain. Seems okay now. Don't worry about it." Of course, the two technical guys, Data and Geordi, are actually in the holodeck that might have any idea what that's about.
They should have at least run diagnostics here.
Yeah. Well, Riker just shrugs it off. He's not worried about it. Yeah, so...
Look at that hat. Sound off in the comments, everybody. Which of the four of us would rock a deerstalker hat the best? Sound off.
You.
I think Davin. Might
I have a Tilly hat upstairs. It's close.
Who asked that? There's this one part too where like Data, because they after the program changes, like London, the set has now become even dirtier, more I don't know, seedy almost. Like you see this prostitute go by, and Data kind of checks her out.
You assume a lot about this young lady, sir.
I do, I suppose. She's
Just a finely dressed young lady walking down the street in the middle of a
she's got her
foggy night
shoulder,
in
her
London.
dress off her shoulder. I think Dave's pretty accurate.
And I mean, those roses definitely aren't there to, the reason that prostitutes carried roses back in the Victorian
Body
times, so I
shaming
won't
in
get into.
1887. I'm disgusted by this.
You might want to watch out for Jack the Ripper in this time.
Yeah,
too.
he could have showed up.
Red Jack?
Red Jack. Yeah. But then we see here that Moriarty has this sort of like, oh god, because he's the one the computer has given consciousness.
I feel like a new man.
He says that dark fellow there, he called for the arch thing. What was that about?
Apparently,
They cleaned that line
apparently-
up a few times.
that's one of the only references to someone's skin color in this in all of TNG. Not until Cisco does this come up again, apparently.
And that's not even TNG, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
In Code of Honor, they didn't talk about it, but
I still don't think.
the connotations were there.
Well, were they? Like,
The undertones, perhaps.
Yeah, the undertone.
I think sometimes people see what they want to see, is my opinion. But anyway, especially white people. But then they go to the arch, and Moriarty's able to make it disappear. And this woman, other holodeck character, calls sorcery and black magic, and runs away. But Moriarty is starting to learn. We start to see that what the threat is here. Meanwhile, we see here that this is where Pulaski kind of disappears. She just kind of walks off behind Data and Geordi here. She was either lured away or she wanted to be abducted. But she kind of goes off here. And then we hear her scream, and they come looking for her. The game is afoot, literally, as Data finds a shoe.
The game is afoot.
But Geordi thinks that, well, Pulaski, she's probably just messing with you. She's probably hiding just to make this, tougher on you. But Data's not so sure. So they're going along. We also see here, there's many times we see, well, not many, but a couple, where we see Moriarty kind of watching them from a distance. Stuff I hadn't really noticed the first time until going through this today.
He's a creeper in this one.
He's a creeper, yeah. Like, he's checking them out, observing them, and trying to, just gather information. So they start, unraveling the mystery, going after the footsteps. Data's, figuring out things based on who's left-footed and how many steps are being taken and whatever. They get down this alley where there should be a door, but there's not. Then they get pulled off by this other guy, this inspector, who says, there's a murder here. But Data gets there and says, well, this isn't important. This is just a distraction. This is, a whole other thing. And Geordi's like, what do you mean, Data? That can't be. Data goes, well, look at the shoes. He just got out of prison and blah, blah, blah. Basically, he figures out that the murderer, it was waiting for him outside. It turns out to be his old wife, his common law wife, and that she was not looking forward to seeing him again, so she killed him with the beads to simulate fingerprints and all this other stuff. So Data solves this very quickly, but it's kind of a distraction, and that the computer's running this independently from the Moriarty angle of the story, who we see is watching this from a distance. So Data and Geordi then go off where, they kind of say, well, how is the computer doing this and what is up? But Data says, I think that was all just whatever. He wants us to follow him down here into the warehouse. And he goes, who does? The master criminal himself.
The master criminal. The man Holmes could only defeat at the cost of his own life at Reichenbach Falls. Our adversary, my dear Watson, is none other than Professor Moriarty himself.
Yes. I didn't know. I didn't realize. Yeah, I haven't read all the Sherlock Holmes. I didn't realize he dies in the storyline.
Well, he doesn't actually. They brought him back, but him and Moriarty, he throws Moriarty off a waterfall, essentially.
Okay, but
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. It's only from 1897 or whatever.
If you haven't gotten around to reading Conan Doyle by now, I have no sympathy for you.
Then he comes back as Lady Sherlock. So, the tale takes some twists and turns.
Yeah, so there's this whole thing where they have to figure out, like, look at the scratches. They figure out there's a secret door here to Moriarty's evil lair, where his laboratory with all of his whatever. My whole vision of what a laboratory is, I think largely came from this episode.
It's this and Frankenstein who set the stage.
Yeah, you always had like beakers with all these weird liquids in them, and they would, I don't know, it's like magic potions almost, right?
Dials and copper wire and
yeah, all these things as they're coming in, but they're greeted by Moriarty himself. And in the course of this conversation, they realize that there's something very off about Moriarty, that he's not just like a holodeck villain, that he's...
Well, of course there's something off about Moriarty. You see all these beakers here, they're all open. Like all these vapors are just floating into the room, and they're all different colors and thicknesses. Like he's breathing in a brew.
All of Next Generation is just Moriarty's laboratory. Yes.
I like it. That's like all good things. Moriarty just like snaps out of it. It's just like, that was wild.
But here, Moriarty reveals, like, I know this is a simulation. I know that I'm something else. I know about this power called computer. And they're just like, and Data says to Geordi, like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Don't say anything else. And as they're kind of going along, we see here that Moriarty's able to call for the Arch, which they definitely know a holodeck character should not be able to do. For a guy with that emotions, Data's like look of terror just builds here gradually throughout the
especially
scene.
When he gets this.
Yes, and so Moriarty draws. He's like, "Tell me, what is this?" As he said, like, even before that, just before we get to it, where he's like, "You're Holmes, but not Holmes, and you're Watson, but not, and I'm never seen you before, but yet somehow I know who you are. It's weird." But then he goes, "What's this?" And he hands Data this drawing, and Data doesn't. We don't get to see it right away. He doesn't show it to Geordi right away, but Data just kind of says nothing and storms off out of there. And this great moment here where Moriarty says,
"Why does it frighten you, Holmes?
Why does it frighten you?"
That's my favorite line in the episode.
Oh yeah,
and this scene is pretty much proving Pulaski right. This is Data's short circuiting when he sees a real mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But like Spiner was good here because he really got the sense that he was like panicked.
Oh,
he didn't know, he didn't understand what was happening.
How could this be?
Get the hell out of here! And then he tries to shut down the holodeck. It won't let him. It's been overridden.
Which is like flipping the chessboard over. He's like, "You think you could beat me, Moriarty? I win."
Checkmate here. Yeah. So then Data, he's like, "Okay, we gotta go up to the bridge." And then Geordi's like, "Hold on a second, what is it?" And Data shows him, "Look." Even though this, again, like it's a little bit inconsistent about why this paper could be taken off the holodeck. It seems like sometimes you can replicate things on the holodeck, and sometimes they're just projections. But I guess this was one of the things that got replicated. And he goes, "How could a hologram draw this?" And it's the silhouette of the Enterprise.
And note that that's the exact same silhouette that's on the display in engineering when Data comes in at the beginning.
Ah, good point. Yeah, and presumably Moriarty saw this in the Arch. But we go then to our conference room meeting where they're showing the drawing to Picard, and he's like, well, what's this about? And Geordi goes, "Oh, geez. I realized when I effed up here, when I asked for an opponent not capable of defeating Sherlock Holmes, but capable of defeating Data. And in order to defeat the android of Data, like, you would have to create a very sophisticated holodeck character."
What was great here is like you can just see Picard going, "Oh God, you guys, you're supposed to be officers."
Yeah,
you know what I thought about in this episode too, while I was watching it this time, is every time there's a really bad glitch on the holodeck, it always has this huge power consumption where it has to like start grabbing power from other systems and stuff, like it did with the Worf noticed there in this episode. That happens every time. So really, why is the holodeck systems able to do that? Maybe just like have an independent power source on the holodeck, or maybe not have let the holodeck just access any part of the ship it wants randomly, like for power. Like that seems like a fail-safe that should be in there. But you know, I'm storytelling and all that. But come on now. Come on.
Also, the fact is, I mean, this is our second holodeck episode, right, in this series so far. And so the first time the fail safeties went off and the historian got shot.
And, right, I forgot about. Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one.
And that's the Dixon Hill one.
Yeah, it's the big goodbye. Yeah. But this time there's an external threat, right? Where people outside the holodeck, because we see here that Moriarty's able to shake the ship while they're in the middle of this meeting. And, you know, they try to explain it all, but Moriarty has somehow connected his contraption on the holodeck into the systems of the Enterprise, and he's able to go. And here we also see that this conversation here between Moriarty and Pulaski, where she's mostly playing down.
I was going to say the shaking of the ship was just Moriarty and Pulaski.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
The line. I like the line, 1 or 2 lumps, and she's like, "Am I gonna get beaten up here or
lumps?"
That reminded me of one of my favorite Looney Tunes skits, though. It's like, you know, Pete Puma is, how many lumps do you want with it?
Yes.
You know, she's this tea is so good, but you know, Moriarty's like, the more you say you don't know, the more I know you're lying, and the more I know you're full of it. You liar! He's able to call for the arch, and you know, Pulaski knows that this is not right, but she's playing it cool and trying to, you know, figure this out as she's going. As like, you know, he's just continuing to gain knowledge here, and he's like, I know that there's something up, and we see here that he's able to point to a drawing of the Enterprise he's drawn on his chalkboard here, along with all of his different calculations, and he's putting this all together.
Some of those are for calculating an escape velocity, because there's a delta V down at the bottom, and the only thing I can think of relating to the Enterprise that would relate to a delta V would be its escape velocity. So I guess that's mostly rocket science, maybe?
Right, maybe.
I was trying to figure out what the A, B, C, and D are relating to. Like, why?
Oh, yes.
Well, I've never put much thought into it, but it's an interesting
I stared
question.
at this episode a bunch today.
It's figure 1, not figure 2. Like, where's figure 2?
Where's figure 2? Maybe there's one. Anyway, so Moriarty's like, he wants answers. Then we see that, well, Picard's already said he's going to go to the holodeck and he's going to dress in period costume. And so Worf is also going to dress in this suit. He goes, hey, nice suit.
Worf's going to strangle somebody. Worf's got the gloves on.
Yeah, he's got those gloves on.
I'm ready, Captain.
Man, like, and that was what I was saying. Like, I want the longer version, the 2-part version of this, where Worf did have to go to the holodeck and interact with people and kick some ass.
He starts beating up people on the streets of London.
Yeah, just
tell me where Moriarty is.
Yeah, but you know, he looks good. He looks good in that suit. Like a lot of the costumes here look great. There's this great moment here where Picard like gets his hat out and he like even scares Worf with it. Is to put the top hat.
Of course, he's dressed as like a gentleman.
Oh yeah.
I originally wondered whether he was going to be Mycroft in this scene, like, or he was supposed to be Mycroft Holmes, because Mycroft is the upper class brother, the politician.
Yeah. Well, interesting theory. Yeah, because I've seen the Benedict Cumberbatch one a little bit, and that has the Mycroft character more prominent.
Because it's like, I dressed up as Mycroft Holmes when I was 5 for trick or treating on Halloween. Like,
you probably did. You probably did. Yeah. Assuming they have Halloween wherever you grew up. But like, so we see that the holodeck is glitching here. Moriarty has like been messing with it. We can see like the yellow grid here in the
characters are like, there's screaming going on. They're all
there's despair in this version of London, and like it's really cool.
Club actually.
Like for the time, I don't know if this was enhanced in the remaster, but it looks great.
Probably.
And some of the things here, we see that Picard finds 2 pence. It's supposed to be good luck. Let's keep it. Just before he gets this pickpocket guy, Mugger, tries to steal it from him. He's got a knife. He's got that. He's very authentic. I don't know, like British street Cockney guy. Yeah. Data. Luckily, he's got Data with him. He doesn't even need a Worf to come bust up some heads here. This Data's just gonna grab him by the hand and crush his finger or whatever. And he goes, "Do you think he could have harmed me? Because they know that the safety's off." He's like, "I think he could have killed me with that knife. Good thing you're here, Data." "Oh, but let him go. Let him go." His Data's like gonna break his thumb off or whatever. And this, even though he's a hologram. Yeah. The other thing here too, Picard, he's got gloves, but he doesn't put them on. He just carries them in his hand the whole time.
Like he's waiting to smack someone with them. Obviously, he just deep down wants a duel.
I think you're right. He's like, "I'm going to duel this Moriarty," because you know that Picard read Sherlock Holmes as much as he read Dixon Hill as a kid, right? So maybe
hence the Halloween costume.
Yeah. So then Data and Picard show up in Moriarty's lair here, and there's the meeting between them. This is where Pulaski's just like kind of chilling on the couch eating crumpets, and she sees Picard come in, and she's got to get herself
eating crumpets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I always need to straighten my clothing after I've been sitting on the couch eating crumpets.
Jean-Luc, you just missed the hookah.
Yeah, right? Oh, I didn't know that the holodeck could produce real opium.
Who knew? The safeties are off. So,
note to self: good. Party on the holodeck when the safeties are off.
Note to self.
Yeah. So Moriarty wants answers. He's shaking the ship on Picard. We see, up in the bridge, they're feeling it. Marina Sirius with one of these great shake maneuvers here of all time.
She's got great shake face in that screenshot.
Oh, she's got great shake face and positioning. Like she's sliding right out of that chair. I think Riker calls down to Worf. "What's happening down there?" Worf's like, "I don't know." And he goes, "Okay."
Why'd you dress up, Worf?
He's like, "Just in case. Just in case."
Strangle someone. I was told I could strangle someone.
Yeah.
I have it in my contract.
If I don't come back in 10 minutes, Mr. Worf, you go in there and strangle the first British person you see. So,
no, I'm supposed to be French, Mr. Worf.
Yeah. So there's this final meeting here where Moriarty says, "I've gone beyond my original programming. I'm not just that villain, and I want to exist in the real world. I want to go there." But Picard says, "Dude, that's not possible. You're stuck here. That you're part of an energy grid, and if you try to leave here, you will cease to exist." Which Pulaski, confirms for him here. And I don't know, he doesn't really accept it at first, but he, there's kind of this gesture here where he wants to know more. He says, "I think, therefore I am. Am I not real?"
Is the definition of life cogito ergo sum? I think, therefore I am. I am alive.
Picard's like, it might have been
my
like
own consciousness.
like 600 years ago, but he thinks they're a little more in depth.
He goes, "Well, that's one possible interpretation," I think is Picard's response.
He should have just turned to him and allow me to introduce you to my android.
Well, he does. He says, "But Data is a machine, but he's more." And Picard says, "No, he is more. He is more than you, or most of the other, or at least the other holodeck characters." But
which I think that's the line that really sets up Measure of a Man.
And in the shade that he throws at Federation too, he says so you have this technology, you don't really understand it, but you're you can create me with it, and then just toss me aside. He's just he's shouldn't you understand this power you have before you flaunt it so
well, that's a good point. good argument, yeah, or point to raise. And so after Moriarty goes through the process of he brings up the arch, he gives back the computer control away from it. And I think Picard, now we can debate what his intentions were here, but I think Picard is impressed by the gesture, and says, "Okay, you know what? We're not going to just delete you. We're going to put you in storage until we figure out how the hell we're going to get you out of here, because you're special. You're something different." You know, so I think Picard just filed a report, and he hoped that some other engineer would figure it out one day. But
Moriarty, since we're already on the holodeck, would you like to play Dixon Hill with me?
which I would be Mycroft, and you be Sherlock. Anyway, so then Moriarty says goodbye. Oh, we lost Davan. And we see Moriarty disappear, and then they end the program. So there's kind of like this final scene here where Picard goes back to engineering, finds Geordi working on. Hey, we left. Oh,
there we go.
And my camera just shuts off halfway through a podcast now, and it does it all the time.
Is it the same one that Kevin has? Because that happens to him.
Is it 9:10? Just curious.
That was always happening to Adam at 9:10 on our Orville podcast.
It's 8. It's yeah. Actually, it is 9:10.
Actually, it is 9:10.
It actually is 9:10. So,
well, mystery solved there, Holmes.
So this is one of the early season episodes that doesn't end on the bridge with some kind of joke, although it is kind of a lighthearted moment. As Picard says, I think because Geordi's kind of, I nearly destroyed the whole ship by giving a command to the holodeck, and Picard's like, don't worry about it. It's all ship shape now. You got the
ship shape and Stunsel's tight,
Bristol fashion and all that. So,
well, soon she'll be ship shape and Bristol fashion.
And and then we see that they finally have met up with the U.S.S. Victory to end the episode. So, which does appear to be the same as the Stargazer constellation.
The old
class.
quad nacelles. Gotta love them.
So that is the plot end of the episode. Now, who's got our trivia ready? Our fun facts. Anybody?
I got a couple things. I think I covered most of them. The story that they were referencing in the quick beat right before Geordi leaves was A Scandal in Bohemia. I had it in my other notes here. The VR thing I already said. Elementary, My Dear Watson is, what the title of the episode was based off of. The holodeck sketch is the same as the one in engineering, and so what happened? Paramount Studios had the rights to the Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes stories for young Sherlock Holmes, which apparently they did in 1985. And because they had those rights, the producers on Star Trek were like, we don't need to check with the Doyles. They're cool with it. And they just went ahead and did this episode. And then the Doyle estate got in touch with Paramount and said, hey, you know what? That was actually a really great episode. We really loved it. But if you're going to be using it going forward, we're going to need our cut. So it took 4 years of negotiating a reasonable price with the Doyle estate, and that's why it took 4 years for us to get Ship in a Bottle, and we didn't get a Moriarty in every season after that. Which
I'm glad we didn't get a Moriarty in it.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm on the fence as to whether or not that's a good or a bad thing, because as much as I love Moriarty, would I love him this much if there was more of him?
No.
I think that the actor himself would have been worthwhile in multiple roles, like they've done with Jeffrey Combs or others. But
sure,
Combs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked that too. But even when they brought him back in season 6, it was such like they're bringing this back. There was kind of like this delight I had when I first saw it, and because I do really enjoy this episode. But I think that Ship in a Bottle episode is a great extension of this story. I guess I do get my 2-parter. It's just 6 or 4 years apart or whatever it is.
A great role for him, since he's actually a Texan. They should have had Daniel Davis play Pit Whoopie. Old Sonny Birch or whatever his name was. Old Sonny,
from your the Gulch,
from the neutral zone.
Like if they were going to bring back Pulaski for any episode, you think?
The Pit Whoopie guy.
Yeah, Pit Whoopie.
Any other comments there, or been a lot busy in the chat tonight? I haven't been able to keep up with it as much, but
Apparently, I've been clicked over on the private chat channel and didn't realize this.
Well, on any event, guys, let's get to our ratings and see what we want to give this episode. Okay, Elementary, Dear Data. Davan, you want to start us off?
I will give what I give the last one.
9.
I'll give this one an 8.
Okay. Justin.
I'm going to give an 8.5 on this one.
8.5. Okay. Adam.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 as well.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5 as well. I think it's really strong. And a fun episode. It's never boring. If anything, I'm left wanting more from it or a longer version of it. So can't complain there. So we were averaging 8.3, guys. This has an 8.1 on IMDb. So we're not too far off from that. And it's one of the higher rated episodes of season 2 on IMDb until we get to Measure of a Man, which is a 9.1. So
That could be that's getting
already
an 11 from me.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can put an 11 down for me on that one already, even if I'm not on the panel.
Me too.
Sure. Well, why not? I'll do it first. So I don't forget. Okay. Also, Q Who, which comes up later this season, also very highly rated.
See, I would make that comparison with Moriarty. Like if he was around all the time, Q shows up too often, and I eventually stopped caring. I love the John Delancey, and he's got lots of personality, and it's great. But like, I don't care about Q showing up all the time.
There were some filler Q episodes, definitely.
Some of them are better than others. A Matter of Honor is also highly rated. We haven't got to that one.
That's a good one.
The Comedian is next week. We get to see the Comedian.
So next episode we're doing is the outrageous O'Connor.
That's not
Billy
Joe
Campbell.
Piscopo.
No,
that's not the Joe Piscopo.
There he is, that guy.
Yeah, Billy Campbell.
He looks like a pirate.
Yeah, he looks
Billy
like
Campbell,
a pirate. Han Solo.
The Riker that could have been.
Solo. Yeah, definitely a Han Solo character.
Yeah. So who did we get? Is Justin, you're signing up for that one?
I think I did raise my hand to make fun of our D&D rogue in space there.
Yeah. And Heather, and I know I don't know if we rounded out that panel yet, but anyway, we'll be next Wednesday night. We're doing a rare Wednesday night podcast. Next week's busy with all his other things. I'm going to be on the Hey, Did You See This One podcast next Thursday, talking about a James Bond movie.
I'm on that this Thursday.
Which one is that? Which movie?
I'm doing the one. What's it called? The one in the 80s.
There was a lot of them. The one with Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
License to Kill.
Dalton.
Oh, Timothy Dalton.
License to Kill.
I'm doing the Timothy Dalton one, not the bad one, the better one. So if that's License to Kill.
That's a Die Another Day.
It might be Die Another Day.
View to a Kill.
Yeah.
No, that was
View to Kill.
No, View to Kill was Roger Moore. Sorry. No.
No, I wasn't a Roger Moore. I'm definitely a Dalton. I'm doing the Dalton one. So whatever that is. I know there's
I
two.
hope it's the
Dr.
one with
No.
Wayne Newton.
I think it's the first one with him.
That's the one with Wayne Newton. Newton.
That is the one.
All right. Well, Wayne Newton. Well, Roseanne liked Wayne Newton. So we now have Okona in 3 Star Trek series. I know he's in Prodigy. Oh, does he show up in Lower Decks too, Okona?
Yeah, he's the DJ in the club they won't let Freeman into.
Yeah, Okona
because she's
was
only
just
a Cerrito or a California class captain.
Joe Piscopo is in the next episode?
No.
He's not in the outrageous Okona. No, he's in the one where Data's trying to learn stand-up comedy from Guinan.
I mean, that could be the B plot in Okona, I guess.
It could be. I don't remember actually. So
no, I know
it's awful. That Piscopo scene is just awful. Like if that's
the Living Daylights. That's the one I'm doing.
Living Daylights.
Yeah,
Living Daylights.
Oh, Norman says it is the B story in that episode. Then Okona's gonna get like a 2 from me. Like this is not good stuff.
Well, as I was looking ahead, Shades of Grey, also known as the Clip Show episode, the season 2 Raider Strike episode. That on IMDb has a 3.3 average. So, we'll see what we come out with. But anyway, that's been it here for our take on Elementary Dear Data, the Sherlock Holmes one. this was a lot of fun. You know, a pretty high rating, a good moment here in season 2, and you know, maybe I think we got a few not as great episodes maybe for the next 5 or 6 weeks, but we'll see how we like them. You know, and
the middle of season 2 is great though. It's like the best stuff.
Well, we're getting into it. So
yeah, like episodes like 8 to 15, great stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun, guys. We're gonna, you know, make sure to check out all the great stuff here on Live Long and Podcast. I believe we have a trivia coming up, or no, it's a debate, right? Debate 9 on Saturday.
Saturday night, yep.
Saturday night under the science
Voyager
division.
themed. It's Voyager month in the science division.
Well, how fitting with the Voyager.
Hey, Adam,
ship.
not this weekend, but the next weekend, you want to do a Voyager probes?
Yeah.
All right, we're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm there. So my clock's going in the back here. I just got it.
Ding dong. We also, you know, of course, we're covering the Orville here. We're almost done the 3rd season. Our next episode will be Twice in a Lifetime. Season 3, episode 6. We'll be covering that next Monday night.
Fun fact: Adam is actually the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like he's fixed the hunch.
Yeah.
But same guy.
The dong.
Oh, and the bells. Yes, the bells.
Sanctuary.
In terms of our most recent podcast that you should go back and watch, we of course did our Star Trek Lower Decks series retrospective Saturday, where we talked about just the end of that show and its legacy within Trek. We also covered Section 31 not too long ago as well, the new movie event. Favorite. It's everyone's favorite. It might be the highest rated of all the movies. So all of that out there on Live Long and Podcast and all kinds of fun stuff. Of course,
Adam, what did you give it?
I haven't been asked yet, but I would give it a 0.
You gave
that's what I gave it.
You were asked, and you gave it a 3.
Then I want to take it down.
Take it down.
All right.
I give that a 3.
Doesn't deserve a 3.
I can't even believe I give that a 3. No, it's an absolute terrible movie.
Like whatever has less in it than a nothing burger, that's what that movie was.
So I took it down to a 0. We're averaging now 1.5.
That's too high. Actually.
That's being brought up by
Ashley. 6.
Ashley is the high watermark. Yeah, she would give it a 6. So, but hey, that's that's all it's all about. She liked the beginning.
Norman.
1 garbage scow out of 10.
1 garbage scow out of 10.
It should be hauled away as garbage.
Garbage. Yeah. Well,
But
it'd be interesting to go back and watch that in a couple of years and see how that. I'm sure it's not going to age any better. So,
no. But they're too proud to like cast it aside like they did Prodigy. Like they should just boot it. Like get out of here. Get off our streaming platform, Section 31.
I think it's harder to justify shelving a movie starring an Academy Award-winning actress than it is to shelve something like, say, Batgirl. But
could be.
You know what? I have nothing against any of the actors or any of the people that did the set design. I thought all of that was fantastic. I thought the actors did what they could with what the script. It's everything behind the scenes that makes me want to smash my head off a bulkhead. But you know what? Whatever. Somebody liked it.
Not too many.
I don't think the actors
it just
elevated anything either. Some of them, like the annoying Vulcan guy, made the dialogue that was horrible even worse. So I had some nitpicks.
I don't think
the
they gave that
too.
man a dialogue coach.
Yeah, well, guys, the good
apparently
news
he's a professional actor.
Sometimes energy can become not or whatever else. Energy can become matter, and they're interchangeable. And that's the quote we'll leave you with tonight as we head out of here. Thanks to the whole panel for being with us, and we will see you next time here on Live Long and Podcast.
Why does it frighten you, Dave?
Humans have discovered that energy and matter are interchangeable. In the
Game
holodeck,
is afoot.
energy is converted into matter. Thus, you have substance. But only here.
He wasn't talking about Section 31, was he?
All right, and I feel like I do need that quote on the way out, Davan. Here, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Why does it frighten you, Holmes?
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with, hey, did you see this one? and movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.